received a couple of questions on my video podcast covering condominium resale documents. In the December 19, 2019 video podcast, I had advised that it would be prudent for a seller to order the condominium documents and provide them to any potential buyer before executing a contract, giving several reasons for that. One of the follow-up questions had to do with the fact that ordering the documents does cost the seller some money, and if the documents have to be reordered, the seller has to pay again. So, how long are the documents good for? The second follow-up question had to do with what information is the HOA required to give in the resale certificate. The question, how long are the documents good for, is an interesting question because it implies that we may think that what has been provided for the HOA goes bad after a period of time, or more succinctly, is no longer accurate after a certain period of time. That is not true. It is like a seller's disclosure notice. The information has to do with the condition of the HOA as of the time the documents are delivered. That information does not become bad or inaccurate just because time has elapsed. Now, if there is new information after the date of issuance, we need to know that. But as to new information, that can happen at any time, no matter if the information we have received is relatively current, i.e. 30 days. The HOA could hold a meeting 2 days before closing and vote something new. Just like a seller's disclosure notice, if seller is made aware of a material change in the HOA since the date of disclosure, seller has a duty to disclose. Depending on what that new information is, a new set of documents may not be required. If the something new is simply that another dues payment should have been made, that can be verified by a canceled check from the seller. No need to pay for another set of documents. The buyer will be insured anyway under the title policy for any liens on the property as a result of any unpaid dues. The second question is, what information does the HOA have to give when the resale certificate is ordered? There's a long list of information that the HOA is statutorily required to give and certify to under the resale certificate. This is information that a buyer needs to know and really should know before signing a binding contract, as discussed in my podcast of December 19th. The information includes 1. Whether there is right of first refusal. 2. The amount of the periodic common expense assessment and unpaid common expenses or special assessments. 3. Any unpaid fees or amounts owed to the association. 4. Capital expenditures, if any, approved by the association for the next 12 months. 5. The amount of reserves, if any, required. 6. Any unsatisfied judgments against the HOA. 7. The nature of any pending suits against the HOA. 8. Insurance coverage provided for the benefit of the owners. 9. Whether the board has knowledge that any alterations or improvements to the units or any of the limited common elements are in violation of any of the HOA covenants or bylaws. 10. Whether the board has received notice from any governmental authority of any violations. 11. The remaining term of any leasehold estate on the land that affects the condo and provisions regarding renewal. 12. The contact information for the managing agent. 13. The current operating budget and balance sheet. And 14. All fees associated with the transfer. A buyer can wait until he signs the contract to get this information because he can terminate for any reason within 6 days of receiving the information. However, waiting until after execution of the contract to find out some of this important information that may make buyer decide not to buy the condominium does cost the buyer time and money. The option fee is not refundable, and any inspection fees buyers pay are not refundable. Is that in the best interest of the buyer then to wait to obtain that information? There is also a benefit to the seller for ordering early and providing to the potential buyer, even if the seller has to reorder for whatever reason. The cost is well worth it for all the reasons discussed in the previous video podcast. Thank you for watching and/or listening to our video podcast and sending me your comments. Allegiance Title wants to earn your business by being a valuable resource to you. We hope we have provided some value through these weekly tips. If so, I look forward to seeing you at the closing table. And here's to a prosperous 2020. Thank you.